Welcome to Shadowlands Ghosts, a place where the veil between reality and the unknown is at its thinnest. I'm your host, Raven Blackwood, and I'm thrilled to have you join me on this journey into the heart of darkness. As we sit here, surrounded by the familiar comforts of our everyday lives, it's easy to forget that there are forces beyond our understanding that lurk just beyond the edge of our perception. But I'm here to remind you that the unknown is always closer than you think, and the shadows that dance upon our walls can sometimes take on a life of their own. As we settle in for tonight's tale, I want to invite you to join our little family of ghost enthusiasts and horror aficionados. If you're not already a part of our community, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell, so you can stay up to date on all our latest explorations into the world of the macabre. Now, let me introduce you to our story for tonight, The Silent House, Voices from the Grave. This is a tale of a house that stands like a monolith to the horrors that have transpired within its walls. A house that has borne witness to the darkest depths of human depravity and has been left to whisper its secrets to the wind. But be warned, this is not a story for the faint of heart, and the horrors that unfold will be told to you from the perspective of the one person who knows its secrets. Best, the lead character, who will guide you through the twists and turns of this terrifying tale. So sit back, dim the lights, and let the whispers from the grave begin. As I stepped out of the car and onto the cracked asphalt of the driveway, the trees seemed to close in around me, their branches tangling together like skeletal fingers. I felt a shiver run down my spine, but I tried to brush it off as mere nerves. After all, I've been waiting for this moment for years, the chance to explore. The infamous Silent House, a place where the veil between reality and the unknown was rumored to be at its thinnest. My name is Amelia Gray, and I'm a paranormal investigator. I've spent my entire career studying the most haunted locations in the country, but none have ever captured my imagination quite like this one. The Silent House has a reputation for being one of the most haunted places in the world, and I was determined to uncover its secrets. As I gazed up at the house, I couldn't help but feel a sense of awe. It loomed above me, its towering spires and turrets reaching towards the sky like a monolith to the horrors that had transpired within its walls. The windows were boarded up, and the front door was covered in a thick layer of dust and cobwebs, but I could sense that the house was watching me, its empty rooms whispering secrets to the wind. I turned to my team, who were busy unloading the equipment from the car. There was Matt, my trusted friend and colleague, who had been with me since the beginning of my career. He was a skeptic, always looking for rational explanations for the strange occurrences we encountered, but he had a soft spot for the paranormal. Then there was Sarah, our newest recruit, who was eager to prove herself as a valuable member of the team. She was young and ambitious, with a passion for the supernatural that rivaled my own. As we began to set up our equipment, I couldn't help but feel a sense of unease. The house seemed to be waiting for us, its silence oppressive and heavy. I tried to shake off the feeling, telling myself that it was just my imagination playing tricks on me. But as I stepped inside, I couldn't shake the feeling that we were being watched, that unblinking eyes were trained on us from the shadows. The air inside the house was thick and heavy, filled with the scent of decay and rot. I could feel the weight of history bearing down on me, the accumulated suffering and pain of all the people who had lived and died within these walls. And yet, despite the sense of foreboding that hung over us like a cloud, I felt a thrill of excitement. This was it, the moment I had been waiting for. The moment when the secrets of the Silent House would finally be revealed. But as I looked around at my team, I couldn't help but wonder if we were really prepared for what was to come. The house seemed to be waiting for us, its silence like a held breath. And I had a feeling that once we disturbed the silence, there would be no going back. As we began to set up our equipment, the silence inside the house seemed to grow thicker, like a fog that clung to our skin. I tried to shake off the feeling, telling myself that it was just my imagination playing tricks on me, but I couldn't help but notice the way my team seemed to be avoiding eye contact. Matt was fiddling with the EMF meter, his brow furrowed in concentration, while Sarah was busy setting up the infrared cameras. But every now and then, I'd catch one of them glancing over their shoulder, as if they sensed something lurking just out of sight. I decided to start by conducting an EVP, electronic voice phenomenon, session in the living room. I sat down on the dusty couch, my digital recorder at the ready, and asked my team to join me. As we sat there in silence, the only sound the creaking of the old wooden floorboards beneath our feet, I began to feel a creeping sense of unease. It was as if the house was holding its breath, waiting for us to make a move. I asked my team to remain silent for a few minutes, while I attempted to capture some audio evidence of the paranormal activity. But as the minutes ticked by, I started to feel a strange, tingling sensation in my fingers. It was as if the air around me was charged with electricity, and I could feel the hairs on the back of my neck standing on end. Suddenly, Sarah let out a faint gasp. "What was that?" she whispered, her eyes wide with fear. I turned to her, my heart racing, but Matt just shook his head. "I didn't hear anything," he said, his voice firm but reassuring. But I knew what Sarah meant. I'd heard it too, a faint, whispery sound that seemed to come from all around us. It was like the house was sighing or murmuring, and it sent a shiver down my spine. I tried to remain calm, telling myself that it was just the wind or the old house settling. But deep down, I knew that something was off. The atmosphere in the room seemed to be growing more tense by the minute, and I could feel the weight of the house's history bearing down on me. As we continued to investigate, I started to notice strange coincidences. Doors would creak open and shut on their own, and I'd catch glimpses of movement out of the corner of my eye. It was as if the house was trying to communicate with us, to tell us something that we couldn't quite decipher. But it wasn't until we stumbled upon the old diary hidden in the attic that things started to take a darker turn. The diary belonged to a young girl named Emily, who had lived in the house back in the 1920s. As I flipped through the pages, I was struck by the eerie similarities between Emily's experiences and our own. She too had heard strange noises and seen ghostly apparitions, and her writing seemed to hint at a malevolent presence that lurked in the shadows. I couldn't help but feel a sense of unease as I read through the diary. It was as if Emily was trying to warn us, to tell us to get out of the house while we still could. But I was determined to uncover the secrets of the silent house, no matter the cost. As we continued to investigate, the occurrences grew more frequent and more intense. Doors would slam shut on their own, and I'd hear footsteps echoing down the hallway. It was as if the house was trying to drive us out, to make us leave before we uncovered the truth. But I was not about to give up. I was convinced that the silent house held the key to understanding the paranormal, and I was determined to uncover its secrets, no matter what lay ahead. Little did I know, however, that the house had other plans for us. Plans that would change our lives forever. As I read through Emily's diary, I couldn't shake off the feeling that we were being watched. The entry spoke of a presence that seemed to grow more malevolent by the day, a presence that had driven Emily to the brink of madness. I began to wonder if we were dealing with a malevolent spirit, one that was determined to keep its secrets buried. I decided to conduct a spirit box session, hoping to capture some audio evidence of the entity. The spirit box was a device that rapidly scanned through different frequencies, allowing any potential spirits to communicate with us. As we sat in silence, the spirit box crackling with static, I felt a sense of anticipation building in my chest. And then, suddenly, a voice spoke to us. It was a low, raspy voice, and it seemed to come from all around us. "Get out while you still can," it said, the words dripping with malevolent intent. I felt a chill run down my spine as I realized that we were not alone in the house. The entity was trying to communicate with us, to warn us away from the secrets that it had kept hidden for so long. But I was determined to uncover the truth, no matter what. As we continued to investigate, the occurrences grew more frequent and more intense. Doors would slam shut on their own, and I'd hear footsteps echoing down the hallway. It was as if the house was trying to drive us out, to make us leave before we uncovered the truth. But I was not about to give up. I was convinced that the silent house held the key to understanding the paranormal, and I was determined to uncover its secrets, no matter what lay ahead. It wasn't until we stumbled upon the hidden room in the basement that we discovered the true nature of the horror. The room was filled with ancient artifacts and symbols, all of which seemed to point to a dark and malevolent force that had been awakened in the house. As we explored the room, I began to feel a sense of unease. It was as if the house was closing in around us, the air growing thick with an otherworldly energy. And then I saw it. A symbol etched into the wall, a symbol that seemed to pulse with a malevolent energy. I realized with a jolt of fear that we had stumbled into a ritual site. The house had been used for dark and malevolent purposes, and the entity that we had been communicating with was a product of those rituals. As I stared at the symbol, I felt a sense of dread wash over me. We had to get out of the house, and we had to do it now. But as I turned to leave, I realized that it was too late. The house had us right where it wanted us, and it was not about to let us go. The air seemed to grow colder, the shadows deepening as the house seemed to come alive around us. I knew, with a sense of certainty, that we were in grave danger. The house was not just a house. It was a vessel for a malevolent entity, an entity that would stop at nothing to keep its secrets buried. As the darkness closed in around us, I realized that we were about to become the house's latest victims. The house had been waiting for us, and it was not about to let us leave. The silence was about to become a scream, and we were about to become a part of the house's dark and twisted history. I stood frozen, my eyes fixed on the symbol as the darkness seemed to coalesce around us. The air was heavy with an otherworldly energy, and I could feel the weight of the house's malevolent presence bearing down on us. As I watched, the symbol began to pulse with an eerie blue light, casting flickering shadows on the walls. The shadows seemed to twist and writhe, like living things, and I could feel the presence of the entity growing stronger with each passing moment. I tried to move, to turn and flee, but my legs seemed rooted to the spot. The entity was drawing me in, drawing me closer to the symbol, and I could feel its dark energy coursing through my veins. The silence was oppressive, heavy with the weight of the house's secrets. I could feel the entity waiting for me to make my move, to take the next step into its realm. And then, suddenly, the silence was shattered by a deafening scream. It was a sound that seemed to come from all around me, a sound that seemed to shake the very foundations of the house. I stumbled backwards, my eyes fixed on the symbol, as the entity began to take form. It was a dark, amorphous mass, a thing of twisted limbs and bulging eyes, and it was coming for me. I tried to scream, but my voice was lost in the cacophony of sound that filled the room. The entity was upon me, its dark energy coursing through my body, and I could feel myself being pulled towards the symbol. As I was drawn closer, I saw the face of Emily staring back at me. Her eyes were black as coal, and her skin was deathly pale. She was no longer human, but a vessel for the entity, a vessel that was now being used to claim me as its own. I tried to push her away, but she was too strong. She was the entity, and the entity was her. And as I felt her cold breath on my skin, I knew that I was doomed. The symbol pulsed with energy, and I felt myself being pulled towards it, towards the heart of the entity's power. I was being consumed by the darkness, consumed by the malevolent force that had driven Emily to madness. And as the entity's energy coursed through me, I knew that I was becoming a part of the house's twisted history. I was becoming another victim, another soul trapped in the house's labyrinthine corridors. The darkness closed in around me, and I was gone. As I was consumed by the darkness, I felt my sense of self slipping away. The entity's energy coursed through me, a cold, dark fire that seemed to burn away my very soul. I was no longer myself, but a vessel for the malevolent force that had driven Emily to madness. The symbol pulsed with energy, a beacon of darkness that seemed to draw me in, deeper and deeper into the heart of the entity's power. I was trapped, a prisoner of the house's twisted history, and I knew that I would never escape. The last thing I remembered was the feeling of Emily's cold breath on my skin, her black eyes staring into mine as she whispered a single word, "Welcome." And then there was nothing. But the darkness was not silent. It whispered to me, a constant, maddening voice that seemed to come from all around me. It whispered my name, over and over, a cold, malevolent chant that seemed to draw me deeper into the heart of the entity's power. I was trapped, a soul lost in the labyrinthine corridors of the house. And I knew that I would never be free. The darkness seemed to pulse with energy, a living, breathing thing that seemed to grow stronger with each passing moment. I was a part of it now, a part of the house's twisted history, and I knew that I would never be able to escape. Years went by, or so I thought. Time lost all meaning in the darkness. But I knew that I was not alone. I could feel the presence of others, other souls, trapped in the house's labyrinthine corridors. And I knew that I was not the last. The entity was still out there, waiting for its next victim, waiting for its next vessel. The darkness seemed to grow stronger, a cold, malevolent presence that seemed to fill the room. And I knew that I was a part of it, a part of the house's twisted history. I was the house's latest victim, a soul trapped in its labyrinthine corridors. And I knew that I would never be free. The darkness closed in around me, a cold, living thing that seemed to grow stronger with each passing moment. And I knew that I was doomed, trapped forever in the heart of the entity's power. The last thing I remembered was the sound of my own screams, echoing through the darkness, forever trapped in the house's twisted history. Epilogue: the shadows that remain. The house still stands, a monolith of darkness that looms over the town like a specter of death. Its windows are empty, its doors are sealed, but the shadows that dance upon its walls seem to whisper a haunting melody, a chilling serenade that echoes through the night. The townspeople avoid the house, crossing the street to avoid its dark, foreboding presence. They whisper stories of the entity that dwells within, a malevolent force that devours the souls of the living. They speak of the symbol, a twisted glyph that seems to pulse with a life of its own, a beacon of darkness that draws in the unwary. But the truth is far more sinister. The entity is not a creature, nor a being. It is a presence, a cold, malevolent force that permeates the very fabric of the house. It is a darkness that seeps into the hearts of those who dare to approach, a living, breathing thing that seems to grow stronger with each passing moment. I am a part of it now, a soul trapped in the labyrinthine corridors of the house. And I am not alone. There are others, other souls who have been consumed by the entity's dark power. We are the house's latest victims, forever trapped in its twisted history. The darkness closes in around us, a cold, living thing that seems to grow stronger with each passing moment. And we know that we are doomed, trapped forever in the heart of the entity's power. But the entity is not sated. It still hungers a cold, malevolent presence that seems to fill the room. And it waits patiently for its next victim, its next vessel. The symbol pulses with energy, a beacon of darkness that seems to draw in the unwary. And I can feel its power, a cold, malevolent force that seems to grow stronger with each passing moment. The darkness is not silent. It whispers to me, a constant, maddening voice that seems to come from all around me. It whispers my name, over and over, a cold, malevolent chant that seems to draw me deeper into the heart of the entity's power. And I know that I am not the last. The entity will continue to wait patiently for its next victim, its next vessel. And when it finds them, the darkness will close in, a cold, living thing that seems to grow stronger with each passing moment. The house will remain, a monolith of darkness that looms over the town like a specter of death. And the shadows that dance upon its walls will continue to whisper a haunting melody, a chilling serenade that echoes through the night. For in the darkness, the entity will always wait, patiently, for its next victim. Thank you so much for joining me on this haunting journey through the shadows that remain. I hope that this epilogue has left you with a lasting sense of unease and a deeper understanding of the malevolent force that lurks within the heart of the entity. As we conclude this chapter, I want to express my heartfelt gratitude to each and every one of you for watching and for being a part of this community. Your engagement, your comments, and your support mean the world to me, and I'm so glad that I could share this terrifying tale with all of you. If you're new here, consider subscribing to the channel for more chilling content, including stories, analyses, and discussions about the darker side of human nature. And if you're already a subscriber, thank you for your continued support. I'm honored to have you as part of this community. By subscribing to the channel, you'll not only be getting access to more exclusive content, but you'll also be joining a community of like-minded individuals who share your passion for the horror genre. So, hit that subscribe button, and let's dive into the darkness together. I'll be back with more terrifying tales and analysis, and I look forward to sharing them with all of you. Until next time, stay safe and beware the shadows that remain. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you can stay up to date with all the latest content. And if you have any suggestions or ideas for future videos, please leave them in the comments below. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.